Johann Sebastian Bach, a name that echoes through concert halls, churches, and headphones even today. But who was this man really? Was he just a composer with a white wig and a quill, or was he something more? The truth is, Bach wasn't just a musician, he was a master architect of sound. His music has survived wars, revolutions, and even centuries of being forgotten. Today, we hear his melodies in weddings, movies, even pop music. But his life wasn't always easy. He faced loss, poverty, blindness, and rejection. Still, he never stopped composing. In this video, we're going to take a deep dive into Bach's life, his struggles, his genius, and why his music still touches our souls today. So sit back, relax, and discover how one man changed music forever. And don't forget to like, subscribe, and leave a comment when you're done. Johann Sebastian Bach was born in 1685 in a small town called Eisenach, Germany. His childhood was simple, surrounded by nature, church bells, and, most importantly, music. His family had been musicians for generations, so it wasn't surprising that little Johann had an ear for sound. From a young age, he learned to play the violin and keyboard instruments like the harpsichord and organ. Even as a child, Bach had an incredible memory for music. He could listen to a tune once and play it back perfectly. He didn't grow up with luxury or fame, but what he had was passion. That passion grew stronger with every note he played. In a quiet town, in a modest home, a musical genius was being shaped, one that would one day leave an unforgettable mark on the world. At the age of 9, Bach's life took a heartbreaking turn. His mother passed away. Just a year later, his father died too. Suddenly, young Johann was left an orphan. He moved in with his older brother, Johann Christoph Bach, who was a church organist. It was there that Bach continued his music education. Despite his loss, Bach never lost his love for music. In fact, the sadness may have deepened his emotional connection to sound. At night, he would secretly copy music by candlelight just to learn more. His brother forbade it, but Johann's hunger to grow couldn't be stopped. Every note he copied was a step toward greatness. These dark moments could have broken him, but instead, they gave him the emotional depth that would later be heard in every masterpiece he created. Bach's journey as a musician wasn't a straight path to fame. In fact, it was a winding road filled with hard work and perseverance. He took small jobs as an organist in churches and towns where not many people recognized his genius. One of his first big breaks came when he worked for the Duke of Weimar. There, he composed organ music that was so powerful, people would travel just to hear him play. But even in Weimar, he struggled with authority. Bach didn't like being told what to write. He wanted creative freedom, and when he didn't get it, he left. This became a pattern, moving from one city to another, looking for a place where his music could breathe. Through it all, Bach kept pushing himself to write better, bolder, and more emotional music. One of the most incredible things about Bach was his deep understanding of instruments. He didn't just play them, he felt them. He knew how each instrument breathed, how it cried, how it could sing. Whether it was the pipe organ, violin, cello, or harpsichord, Bach could unlock its full voice. His compositions were complex yet natural, technical yet deeply emotional. He wasn't writing for the sake of showing off. He was exploring the soul of each sound. His famous Brandenburg Concertos showcase this perfectly. Each movement highlights different instruments in ways few composers have matched. Bach made music that was alive, music that moved with both fire and grace. This skill allowed him to write for solo instruments, choirs, full orchestras, and even combinations that had never been tried before. Much of Bach's music was written for church services, and it shows in the depth and spiritual strength of his work. Bach didn't see music as mere entertainment. For him, it was a way to connect with something higher. He once said, "The aim and final end of all music should be none other than the glory of God and the refreshment of the soul." That belief is clear in masterpieces like the St. Matthew Passion and Mass in B minor. These were not simple hymns. They were full-blown emotional journeys, filled with sorrow, hope, and redemption. But even if you're not religious, you can still feel the power in his music. It speaks a universal language, one of love, loss, beauty, and faith. Bach believed music could uplift the soul, and his works continue to do just that centuries later. Though his life was busy and filled with responsibilities, Bach was first and foremost a family man. He married twice and had 20 children in total. Yes, 20. Life wasn't easy back then, and sadly, many of his children didn't survive childhood. But the ones who did often followed in his musical footsteps. His sons, like Carl Philipp Emanuel and Wilhelm Friedemann Bach, became respected composers in their own right. At home, Bach was more than a father. He was a teacher. He gave music lessons to his kids and many young students. His home was filled with constant sound. Children laughing, instruments playing, and Johann composing late into the night. Family life, for Bach, was both joyful and chaotic, but through it all, he stayed grounded. His music may have been divine, but his heart was very human. During Bach's lifetime, his music wasn't always understood. People found it too complicated, too emotional, or too intense. The world was moving toward lighter, simpler styles, and Bach's intricate fugues and bold harmonies felt old-fashioned to many. But what critics saw as excessive was actually genius ahead of its time. Bach was building musical systems, patterns, layers, mathematical beauty, that would influence music for generations. In fact, his techniques became the foundation for many modern styles. Today's composers, whether in classical, jazz, or even film scores, owe something to Bach's vision. He took the rules of music and expanded them. He wasn't afraid to go deeper, to explore what music could really do. He was more than a composer, he was an inventor. He saw music not just as art, but as architecture for the soul. In the final years of his life, Bach's health declined, and he began to lose his eyesight. 2 surgeries were attempted to save his vision, but both failed. By the end, he was completely blind. Yet even without his sight, Bach's creativity didn't dim. He continued to compose by dictating music to his sons and students. His mind remained full of melodies and harmonies that had to be shared. Some of his final works, including the Art of Fugue, are among the most sophisticated and emotionally rich pieces ever written. Imagine composing complex music without being able to see the notes, only hearing them in your head. That's the kind of genius Bach was. Even in darkness, he created light. His final compositions are like quiet whispers from a man who never stopped dreaming in music. When Bach died in 1750, he was buried without much fanfare. His music faded from public interest as newer composers took the spotlight. For nearly 80 years, his work was largely forgotten, gathering dust in archives and libraries. But in the 19th century, a young composer named Felix Mendelssohn discovered Bach's St. Matthew Passion and brought it back to life with a public performance. The world suddenly woke up to what it had been missing. Musicians began studying Bach's work again and realized it was filled with wisdom, beauty, and structure beyond compare. Since then, Bach has been honored as one of the greatest composers in history. His music became required learning for serious musicians. From Beethoven to the Beatles, generations have found inspiration in Bach. He was gone, but his music, his soul, was reborn. Chapter 10. The Eternal Legacy. Today, Johann Sebastian Bach is remembered not just as a great composer, but as a symbol of artistic perfection. His music is played in classrooms, churches, concert halls, and even outer space, literally. NASA sent a recording of his music into space on the Voyager spacecraft to represent the best of human culture. That says a lot. Bach's influence can be found in film scores, jazz improvisations, modern rock, and even hip-hop samples. But beyond his musical legacy, Bach left something deeper. The idea that no matter how small your beginnings, no matter the tragedies you face, your passion and purpose can change the world. He didn't chase fame or fortune. He simply followed his calling, and in doing so, created a legacy that will never fade. Bach's music isn't just remembered, it's felt, century after century. If Bach's story inspired you, moved you, or made you look at music differently, please give this video a like. It helps more people discover stories like this. Subscribe to our channel for more deep dives into the lives of the greatest artists and thinkers who shaped our world. And don't forget to drop a comment. What's your favorite piece by Johann Sebastian Bach? Is it Toccata and Fugue, Air on the G string, or something else? Let's celebrate the genius of Bach together. Thanks for watching, and keep the music alive!